What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Quay Vision Board podcast. Today I have a special guest, Kat, somebody I met through Fausto that was on a couple. How'd you get hooked up with Fausto, by the way?
How did I? A friend, just a mutual friend, actually through church.
That's how things work, guys.
I know. Relationships is everything.
Everything. So, Kat, please introduce yourself to your camera.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting used to the cameras.
It's all good.
All right. What's up, guys? My name is Kat. On Instagram, you might know me as SoCalKattt, SoCalKattt, 3 T's. So, yeah, I'm just here. I understand Quay interviews entrepreneurs, really just talking about, all of us can be entrepreneurs, but talking about mindset. I am currently an owner of drug and alcohol treatment facilities. I'm 7 years in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and I feel like I didn't even own a rehab, and now I didn't even go to rehab, and now I own rehabs. So it's kind of mind-blowing, and I really believe that, we are all able to do anything that we absolutely want. It's just a matter of mindset.
That's awesome. So let's dive into your story real quick.
Sure.
Let's just, before we start diving into the whole entrepreneurship and mindset and everything like that, just kind of tell people about your background, what you're kind of about, what you've been through.
Yeah. So I grew up in Denver, Colorado, just like normal chick. Grew up in the suburbs. My parents both worked. I never really wanted for anything, but I also knew that they had to work for us to live where we lived. I was never just given anything. I had to earn a lot of things. I do remember though, when I was little, just I felt weird and out of place and uncomfortable in my own skin. And so when I discovered alcohol at 13, it was a wrap, you 13. Know? It was a keg party, and it was my best friend's older brother had a keg party, and he invited us, and there was 5 of us, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest weekend ever. There was so much anticipation. He was upperclassman. He had all the athletes over. I had a major crush on him, and he brought us red Solo cups filled with beer, and I got totally hammered. I ended up kissing her brother that night, which was hello, literally still, I'm 38. It's still the best night of my life, okay?
Wow.
We all have a crush, right?
No, yeah, for sure.
Your best friend's sibling. If you don't have your crush on your best friend's sibling when you're growing up, I feel like you're not American or human.
Well, there's that.
There is that, yeah.
So when you had your first taste of alcohol at 13, do you remember what kind of beer it was?
No, it was keg beer, yeah.
How was it taste? Did it taste good?
I didn't taste it. It just went straight down. I drank faster than all the girls that I was with. He had to kept bringing up drinks, and I was just like, this is it.
So it was just one of those things where you're just trying to look cool in front of him, or?
No, I really truly think that I felt the effects of alcohol, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel a little I can breathe, and my black and white world of this sad feeling, kind of weird, is now in color. It was somebody had just put an oxygen mask over me, and I could take a deep breath, and I was like, oh, this is what I should have been doing this whole time.
Wow. So from 13, then you had your first taste of alcohol.
Yeah.
How long until you started to get into that recovery mindset where you didn't want to?
Almost 20 years.
So you were 20 years.
Yeah.
So
yes.
what was the realization that came to your mind as I need to stop this?
I've always had huge dreams, big aspirations. The trouble is I didn't ever get a DUI. I was never arrested. And so for a really long time, I told myself, oh, it was just partying, and this is just a fun thing to do. And, but when you're 31 and doing Molly on a plane by yourself, it's not cute.
That's intense. Molly on a plane by yourself.
I would travel with it pretty regularly. I just found out recently that's a felony. So anyways.
You just found out recently that was a felony.
When I got sober.
I'm glad you didn't find out the hard way.
I know. I would pass it around. I was like, hey, does anybody want anybody want to roll with me? It's Tuesday at noon, but let's go.
Oh my God. Well, coming from somebody like me, I've never drank alcohol or did any type of drugs.
Wait, ever?
Ever. Well, okay.
No, okay,
21st birthday, I did get a little tipsy.
Okay.
So all throughout college, I always had friends that were saying, like, oh, you need to get drunk, you need to loosen up, get drunk,
Yeah.
get drunk. And I've always just like, nah. Because for me, being on football scholarship and doing all these other things, I was so focused on trying to get to my end goal.
Yeah.
And growing up, I had a bunch of uncles, cousins, and things like that were really good athletes.
Yeah.
And completely messed their life up with drugs and alcohol. So me seeing that as a young age, I didn't want to become that.
Yeah.
So it's actually, when I was a kid, I forget what age I was in, but I think I was around the 4th, 5th grade. I wrote in my notebook, and this is just after watching hours and hours of ESPN or something like that. I wrote it in the back of my notebook on the back page. It's like, if I'm not going to make it, it's not going to be because of drugs and alcohol.
Wow.
And from that point, it just was never a thing for me. So until my 21st birthday, where I let my friends let loose and just
Like,
give me whatever.
give you shots.
I couldn't say no type
yeah,
of thing. So
yeah.
they went a little hard. And,
Right.
yeah. And then after that, it was just like, okay, I got that out of my system. I experienced it, never again.
That is so foreign to me.
Yeah, it's foreign to a lot of people. I say that to people, and people look at me like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Right. Are you okay?
Yeah. So,
are you human?
Exactly. So, and then with drugs, I've never did any type of drugs, never smoked a cigarette, anything. So I don't even know what that even is even like. Actually, there was one time I was on a cruise ship, and my friend did give me an edible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How was your experience with that?
Worst experience.
Really?
Well, I wouldn't say worst. I couldn't stop laughing, for one.
That sounds amazing. What? Where's the bad part?
Being on a cruise ship. Have you ever been on a cruise ship?
Yeah, shoot me. Kill me.
Exactly. So being on a cruise ship and being high on an edible for your very first time, motion sickness. I would look out the water. It would look 3D. It looked like the waves was coming right. It freaked me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I told myself never again.
Right. So funny story. I had one of the guys I dated was a drug dealer. Oh, well, I love dating drug dealers in general.
Is that because
used
you
to
can get a supply really easily?
Yeah, and also I just like their lifestyle. I like that it's like easy access, but I feel like we think alike. Mostly drug dealers do drugs usually, so we already have a lot in common.
Sure.
Anyways, one of the guys I dated got invited to this like mastermind, and basically they had like the most wealthiest people on this boat, like 10 of them. And nobody knew, but he was actually a drug dealer. They just thought he was like a self-made millionaire, and they didn't really know what he did. Like they made a book before you would go on this cruise, and they had like these long bios about so and so created this foundation and this nonprofit, and then they had my boy, and it just said his name in his picture. And so he brought chocolate, like the best chocolate edibles. And none of these guys had ever done edibles before, ever. And they were like the most insane, like the best of the best type of quality. One of the dudes jumped off the boat.
Oh my God.
when they got to dock. Like they threw the chocolate. I know it was like a yacht. Like legit. Like legit jumped off the yacht.
Well, damn, that's insane.
He really went hard. yeah, that was my
No, man, drugs and alcohol, and drugs and alcohol it can make people do some pretty interesting things.
Literally.
I used to work at a bar when I turned 21. I worked at a bar for like 2.5 years as a door guy.
Okay.
So I used to see it all. And even then, like drugs and alcohol was never a thing for me. But seeing people come in through the bar, sniffing coke in the bathrooms and getting stupid drunk and racking up a bar tab and that they can't pay. To me, it's all entertainment. Yeah. It's comical.
Right.
So, getting hit on by drunk girls all the time. It's just one of those things where it's just like, damn, this is just an interesting lifestyle.
Sure. And so would you just like be the muscle and just like wear like t-shirt or like really tight tank tops?
I wouldn't necessarily say the muscle because I was a really skinny kid back in the day. Okay. But something along those lines. You were like
sneaky, like sneaky, I'm going to literally throw you out by your neck in like one hand. Would you just come up to people and one hand it?
Sometimes it got to that point. I remember one time we threw a guy down a flight of stairs because he was getting a little handsy with us when we were trying to throw him out because he was too drunk. So
what's handsy mean? Trying to grab you?
Trying to grab you, trying to swing and stuff like that.
No way.
Yeah, people get crazy, and these are like
tiny little guys.
Yeah. And I was working at a bar in Pasadena, and it wasn't just me. So it was like 4 or 5 other security guards on staff. I was just the door guy. Yeah. So everybody else is big.
Yeah.
Like big dudes,
Yeah.
right? So I'm the littlest guy out the bunch. Everybody think they can always test me.
Right.
And that's
They
never
can't.
that's never
They
the
don't
case.
even know.
They don't know. But
You know how you really know if someone's a good fighter? You check their ears.
what's with that? What's with the ears? I don't know about this one.
If they have cauliflower ear, right? You know that they've had some heads on their mat.
That makes sense.
They're wrestlers.
That was kind of like one of the guys there, one of my boys. He was a MMA fighter.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was super quiet. He was just waiting for something to pop off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're sneaky, dude. They're just waiting.
Good times. I love it. All right, so let's get into the actual episode and what we're going to be talking about today. Mindset, everything around it, entrepreneurship. So you said that you kind of own some recovery centers, right? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I didn't go to rehab, but I was in a place when I was 2 years sober that I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was selling software and literally wanted to put a bullet in my head. And so, I was like, why did I get sober if I'm miserable? And so I went on this path of self-discovery, interviewing people, really trying to understand how do you find true happiness? How do you find purpose? I was sober and I kind of felt like it would just come to me and it didn't. Yeah. So I took 6 months off and I traveled. I quit that corporate job that was very comfortable. Everyone thought I was crazy. I've always had some side gigs. So I had this online skincare company that gave me a couple grand a month. So I was okay. I didn't just go off the rails. Hey, hopefully something works. Yeah. So then I read this book called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Have you read it?
I'm not.
It's great. I highly recommend it. I know it sounds so whack, but it is actually.
Most book titles sound pretty whack, to be quite honest.
For sure. Yeah. So she has this very conversational, practical way of finding out who you are. And she says, if aliens were looking in on your life, what would they say that brings you the most happiness? And I just kept doing these weird exercises. And for me, I loved working with addicts and alcoholics. I was so about recovery. It was a life I didn't even know about. It was this whole secret community of people that are just amazing, who have second choices or second chances. And I was really kept coming back to that, but I was how do I make money working with addicts, And so then a few weeks later, I meet who is my business partner now. Also, we met in a 12-step meeting, and he's just charming and funny and really, I just secretly looked forward to seeing him at meetings. Could we have really great conversation? He is my ex now, but we still have great conversations. But he was talking to me one day, and he's an entrepreneur. He used to sell heroin out of his mom's house, and was telling me that we could open a recovery center. I was like, that's how we make money on doing something we love. And, for his 1 year, we went to Vegas. We're all about having fun. So we wanted to create a fun environment where people could come, get sober, clean, get a little bit of time away from their family, from their friends, and enjoy it. We take them to Lakers games. We take them to when that was a thing.
That's awesome.
We're very much if you're not having fun, you're probably not going to stay. And that's in general,
Absolutely.
if life isn't enjoyable. And for me, being sober is not about not drinking and using. Yeah, it's nice to, be clean, but for me, I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy. And I never thought that was possible. I never thought being happy and sober and clean could coexist. It was always one or the other for me.
I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that. So the whole recovery center is you only own one?
Two. So
you own two now?
Yeah.
And how's all that going? How many people are in your recovery centers?
Yeah, so they are licensed by the state of California, and the state of California says you can only have 6 in one house. Or if you want to go petition in front of the city, which no one wants to do, there's you can have up to 8. But a little bit if you've never been to detox or you don't know the difference. So people think immediately when I say detox sober living, right? There are people go, it's a halfway house type of deal. Not at all. Essentially, we are if people want to get clean and sober, they have two options. If you have insurance, you can go to a hospital and kick it in a hospital bed for a few weeks, right? And have them medically detox you, or you can come to a place like ours that's called a subacute detox. So a hospital is acute detox. Our facility, which is in a residential setting, still provides hospital-like care. We have doctors and nurses on call. We have medications that are given to you that will help you get through the withdrawal process. And so, but like, you don't go anywhere without my staff. So like, you can't like leave. Basically, we're just there to help you get through like the worst, like of the worst, which is usually the first 7 days.
For sure.
And then the next 3 weeks, we really spend trying to help you plan, what are you doing after this, right? Because
you need that.
Yeah. And most of these, like, whether you're a kid or you're an adult, or you just really have spent the past, amount of time, a long enough time to fuck off your life, that you need to figure out, hey, I need to do something different. And so, we always recommend long-term, like to go into a 6-month place or a place for a year. Just even if you don't even like think that you have a problem with drugs and alcohol, your life is not awesome if you're in rehab, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's sure as shit not getting better after 30 days.
Right.
So like, how about you go be around a community of people that, and for me, drugs and alcohol never made things better. It just didn't. As much fun as it was, it always complicated things. So I've never seen anybody take a year off from drinking and using and be like, man, that was a waste.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. So you now being a businesswoman, what kind of advice would you give people that's looking to get started in the business world, or like looking to try to start something on their own? What kind of advice would you give somebody to go ahead and start up something?
So I was always told, do what you're passionate about and the money will follow.
I love that.
Yeah. And I didn't know when I first got sober, it sounds weird, but I was 31 and I really was like, didn't know who I was. I'm like, what kind of music? Do I like country, or do I just like getting blackout at country concerts and because the hats and boots, right?
Right.
And so I think it's really important that you spend some time, like I believe that we're rewarded in private for what we do or in public for what we do in private.
Absolutely.
Let me say that again. Yeah. We're rewarded in public for what we do in private. So I spend a lot of time working on myself. And I truly believe, and I actually read this story just the other day. There was this dad who had just gotten home from the office, and his little boy was like bothering him, pestering him, like, hey, play with me. And the dad like was trying to read his newspaper. All he wanted to do was read his newspaper. Yeah. And he takes a piece of the newspaper out that was a globe, and he rips it up into like 100 pieces. And he's like, here, go, that'll keep you busy for a while. And he sat back, and the kid came back like 3 minutes later and it's totally put together. Oh, shit. And he's like, how did you do that? He's like, well, Dad, on the backside is a person. And when you put the person together, the world comes together. Right? Wow. Profound. I didn't
dope.
write that. One day I'll come up with something that profound.
that's pretty dope. I love that.
So I think self-discovery, like, I don't know. The things that I've done in the past were just right for me at that time, Yeah. But I'm feeling like I'm getting to a place where I don't know if recovery is my end all be all. I do know that helping people is, though.
Yeah.
And that I have a passion for speaking about things that I've learned, because I've been such I've been so blessed with so many lessons, mm-hmm. and I learned from other people who have gone through those things. And so I think it's our duty that God takes us from these storms on the other side, not so that we can, pat ourselves on the back and be like, okay, I'm ready for the next, but so that we can actually tell somebody else, hey, I went through that. You're going to be okay. This is what I did.
Right. Yeah, no, I remember Will Smith saying a quote. I know Will Smith isn't really popular right now, but he actually said a quote a while back that I actually found interesting. He said, if you're not helping someone else's life get better, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And I believe that 100%, mm-hmm. because it's like when you get into a place where wherever you've been through, whatever you've gone through, and you get to a place where you're now somewhat successful, mm-hmm. and you're succeeding in life and things like that. And if you don't look back and try to help some people, then, what was it all for, in a sense, right? Yeah. So it's like, for people that are out there that are looking to get into business and things like that, you have to do it for the right reasons. If you do it for the right reasons, I say it all the time, the universe will make a way for you to just keep going 100%. And be successful.
100%.
Right. So what would you say the hardest thing about transitioning into a businesswoman being your own boss and things like that from your past life that you're doing now, that you have to kind of have to go through like a mental block or get over?
Imposter syndrome, I think, is a big thing.
I have imposter syndrome. It's the most. I mean, we're gonna actually dive into that.
Okay, all right. I mean, I still wake up. I'm like, God, I think you got the wrong girl.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
100%.
I'm not this. I have no idea like what I'm doing. Again, I didn't even go to rehab, but I did go and work in a rehab. So I was essentially making like $400,000 a year at some point in software. And then I was like, I wanted to find out what I wanted to do. Alex brought up the idea of working in or creating a treatment center. And I was like, well, how the hell am I going to bring any value there if I've never even been inside a treatment center?
Yeah.
So they hired me because I had 2 years of recovery and I was totally overqualified and they looked at me like I was crazy. But, you know, sometimes like we get these things called get well jobs, right? And it was definitely that because I got to go in, I got to see the inner workings of the business. I got to substantiate my desire to work with addicts and alcoholics. And I was like, I can do this.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
like there's no good ideas anymore. Everybody just steals everyone else's. And
100%.
Thank goodness, you know, that's fantastic. Like if you want to take what I've built and make it better, go. I think that's absolutely amazing.
No, I was just reading something the other day where it's just like, whatever's going on in the world, whatever, you know, business people have created in the past, you can come and create the same exact thing and people waiting to hear from you and your own perspective and something that's coming from you, because something from you might resonate differently with somebody than if they were to get that information somewhere else. So if you're looking to get into something, man, dive in. Don't be like, oh, it's been done already. But it hasn't been done by you. Right.
I love that.
It's just like dive in, because the whole thing with imposter syndrome that you were talking about. So I was a trainer for 10 years. We talked a little bit off camera. I've been a trainer for 10 years, and throughout those 10 years, I was never certified to be a trainer.
You're just fit.
I was just in a place where I was like, I was really good at people. I was really good at fitness, and I just combined the two worlds, and this is what we're doing.
Right.
Now. So when I got out of college, and I came from college, I was devastated. Had spent years trying to pursue this football dream, trying to make it to the NFL. Blah blah blah. Didn't happen. Got hurt. Came home. Spent a year just kind of moping around, doing nothing. And my little brother was in high school at the time. So he was getting to a place where he wanted to go play varsity football, get a scholarship, go play football at a major university. And it was his sophomore year, and they made him play JV. So everybody in our family, we come from a family of athletes. Okay. We were all good enough to play freshman, and then right after freshman year, we went straight to varsity. Varsity, yeah. He didn't. He had to play JV,
no.
So he was devastated. Yeah. So it almost came to a point where he almost wanted to quit.
Yeah.
So I came home right at that time, and he was just like, "Little big bro, can you just work with me, make me get better, train me, so I don't miss the next 2 years of my life, so I can hopefully earn a scholarship." So that's what we did. Off season, we worked, and it got to a point where from his sophomore year to his junior year, just that summer, he stepped into his junior year. He earned a starting job. He got labeled a captain, voted on as a captain, and he just flourished. Yeah. At the end of his 2 years, he ended up accepting a scholarship to Fresno State, went out there for 2 years, got his degree. He's still up there living his life. And I think he's now a counselor for behavioralistic kids in the Fresno community.
That's so dope.
It's pretty awesome. So from there, I was just like, all right, maybe I have a knack to do this thing. So that's when coaches started hitting me up. It was like, do you want to come coach? Never coached a day in my life. Now I'm sitting here coaching high school football. Yeah. A lot of the kids was like, yo, I see what you did with your little brother. Can you help me out? And I'm coaching athletes. And from then on, it just started like, all right, now I'm a trainer. So training athletes. And then once the season starts, all the athletes go back to their respective sports. And now I don't have clients. So now I told myself, if I wanted to pursue this training thing full time, I'm going to have to go after non-athletic people, the everyday person and things like that, and just start helping people lose weight. And that's exactly what I did. So I got in tune with this gym. I was actually working at 24 Hour Fitness, working at the front desk, and then kind of just taking clients here and there and just kind of helping people lose weight. That bloomed into a whole career path for me. Yeah. Never been certified. Right. Throughout the 10 years of me training, I've never had someone ask me for a certification. Right. So I had to be doing something right if people aren't questioning me. Yeah. So, you know.
It's like a college degree. Honestly.
Exactly. It's just the whole thing about it's not being afraid to just put yourself
Just
out
go.
there and just go do it.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was like, man, I need to get certified. People aren't going to hire me. I don't know what I'm talking about, blah, blah, blah. But I had enough experience putting myself through things, and I just kind of learned along the way. And then there was a couple early on clients that I apologize for you guys, because
They're still injured or what?
They probably have some back problems by now or something like that. I don't know, but my bad. That's on me. But I was learning, so yeah. And the whole thing with the whole camera stuff now that I've been in for 3 years, I never went to film school.
Yeah.
I went on YouTube and learned everything I possibly know from YouTube, and now
TikTok.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm in a place now 3 years later where my schedule is constantly getting filled up with jobs and clients and people wanting to come on and be on my podcast with me. It's just, it's so amazing of what you can do with just putting yourself out there and just going after it and just
show up.
Just showing up and just going out there and doing it. So it's an amazing thing. But the imposter syndrome is key, is a big thing, because I still go through it to this day, where I'm like, at some point somebody's going to come and figure me out. And just
Am I
like,
here because of luck?
Yeah. And that always is in the back of my mind. It's just like, at some point in life, this shit is going to stop.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be like homeless on the side of the road trying to figure out what to do. But, you know, it hasn't happened yet. And I'm faking it till I make it type of thing. So it's just kind of like put one foot in front of the other and just go.
For sure.
Right.
I love your story about your brother, because so many people talk about, oh, I want to be X. Right? I want to be rich. I want to lead people. I want to, you know, have a multi-million-dollar corporation. It's like, well, what are you doing today with what you have, right? To actually like lead those people that are in your life. How are you pouring into the people that are in your life right now? You don't have a multi-million-dollar corporation, but I mean, you don't have to have a multi-million-dollar corporation to be a leader, right? And what are you doing with the resources that God has given you today? You know, the money that you're saying you want to be, a whatever multimillionaire, but like, are you being a good steward of the money that you have today? Are you just so focused on, when I get there? It's not about when. It's about today. What are we doing today that is actually, reinforcing that end goal? I have a personal mission that I want to bring value everywhere I go. Like, even if I'm shopping, if I'm at the grocery store, I want that person to be like, I am like a little bit brighter because I met her, right?
Yeah, no,
100%. And just have this. That's my goal. And my end goal is that $1 billion net worth. I want to reach the masses. I want to help 1 billion people, and I believe that every single day, the more that I perpetuate this desire to help the people that God puts in my path, it puts me towards that. It's not like when I get to, whatever X amount it is, then it's like, no, you start today. Today is when it starts. And then you get rewarded tomorrow for what you did yesterday.
Absolutely. There's this quote that I love so much. It's, in order to be like, you have to become a millionaire in your mind before you become a millionaire in the real world type of thing.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of teach yourself how to move like a millionaire, how to talk like a millionaire, how to dress like a millionaire before you can actually obtain it. Because if you start off today and it's like, I want to be a millionaire, and somebody gives you $1 million tomorrow, you're not going to know what the fuck to do with it.
Right.
It's going to
Lambos.
go. Exactly. It's going to come and go just as fast as it arrives. So it's like, you have to learn the steps. And I always tell people you can't skip steps.
Yeah.
Because like everybody was always trying to get these quick,
results.
Get rich quick schemes and things like that, especially in this personal training world.
Yeah.
People always want to come, people come in 35 years old. It's like, I want to look like I did in high school. I'm just like,
well, there's a plastic surgeon down the street.
Exactly. Right. And then you can go and get that plastic surgeon. You can go and get a quick fix, look amazing. And then in 2 years, you're going to be right back here. Be like, where, you wasted your money, because you have to be able to maintain that body. You can't just have it because you want it type of thing. So I tell people that all the time. And you just have to like navigate this world as if, the end goal is in reach, but you have to do it the baby steps today. So you just don't skip steps.
Right.
I tell people, one of my quotes that I always say is, it takes somebody 21 years to become 21 years old.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, I'm 10 years old, but I want to be 21 tomorrow. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You have to go through the steps.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and for me, I just actually did a post on this yesterday about how I would like, in my 20s, I would see people that were successful. Yeah. I had friends that had achieved some mild success. And YouTube, all those, I have like a few people that I follow that are, and I just, in my brain, because I wanted such quick results that I just assumed, oh, it happened overnight for them, right? They hit one break and they were made successful. Yeah. And then, one thing that really kind of changed my perspective, and I hate to admit this because I was in my 20s before I like really ever did any hard work, but when I was in my like path of discovery and trying to find happiness while I was still in my addiction, I started bodybuilding for like NPC. So I like did bikini stuff. And I was actually approached by a coach at my gym who saw me in there all the time. He's like, hey, let me, work with you. I'll do all your coaching, your meal prep for free. If you do well, just like tell girls that you came my way. I'm like, bet, like, let's do it. And then I ended up doing well. And it was the hardest I've ever worked for anything in my entire life. Absolutely. And it wasn't just like the lifting weights. Do you have any familiarity with the MPC? Okay.
100%. Yeah. I've trained MPC athletes. Okay. I've been approached to do it. It's
not my jam. No offense.
It's not mine either.
Yeah. No offense. But it's more about looking, at least when you're in the bikini, category, it's more about looking a certain way. And so I remember like I would have to take off work because I had no carbs. I had depleted. I mean, we did it all naturally, but with like dandelion tea, I depleted everything. Yeah. I couldn't even walk, let alone think. Then I'm about to get on stage, and everyone's like eating handfuls of peanut butter filled pretzels behind stage. It's like, what kind of clown show is this? Like, I'm so confused. Right.
It's brutal.
It is. But honestly, that I feel like was the first time I had ever experienced some type of discipline when it came to the mental discipline that's required for diet, for training. I would go in there and like he worked me, and I was still drinking at the time. He didn't know that, but he did. He'd be like, what did you eat this weekend or drink? 'Cause you're wearing it. I was like, sick. I mean, but when you're 8 to 12% body fat, it's not easy to hide that kind of stuff.
No, yeah.
But I feel like now I see somebody with a good body, and I'm very much believe in, health is wealth.
Absolutely.
And not like, I don't believe that muscles are wealth, because I was like the most vascular I've ever been. And I was doing, the day before my show, I was doing skull crushers with like 8s, and I legit almost crushed my skull.
About to faint. Yeah. No, I've been there.
It's like it's so gnarly. It's like the first time that I've ever felt like I ever really applied myself, and I was like, dude, this is hard. Yeah. Like I want to give up. Yeah. Everything else I just either didn't apply myself to, or it just came really easy.
That's one of the things that I do respect about the bodybuilding industry. It's just like it takes a special minded person to go through that. Like I was approached when my years of training, and I was, working out every day. So if somebody approached me and was like, oh, you should compete. Yeah. So I kind of took 2 weeks and kind of put myself through it a little bit. And I was just like, there's no way. Right. There's no way I'm spending 3 months going through this to step on the stage, to pose in front of some people, and just, there's no way.
And that's it. That's it. You might get a trophy. I mean, at the end of it is like potentially a pro card. Which for me, that just like wasn't, I met some cool people. I got some modeling gigs from it, but the biggest gift that I had was that I learned so much about myself. Right. Like I had no idea what carbs did to me. I had no idea what lack of, hydration did to me.
Absolutely.
So it was a cool experience. I would never ever go through it again, but I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, you learn something about yourself through that. And I tell people all the time, people that go on stage and they look like that, they look like a Swiss Army knife action figure type of person. Right. Like people always say like, oh my God, you look amazing, blah, blah, blah. Those people are some of the most unhealthiest people out there. Yeah. Not necessarily, they don't look it. Right. But what they have to put their body through in order to achieve that goal, it's not sustainable. Yeah. And if it's not sustainable, it's not necessarily healthy. Yeah. So for me, me being a trainer at the time, a lot of people were coming to me. It's like, oh, I want to look like this. And they pull up an Instagram model, and it's just like, all right, now I'll start to break it down, like what you have to go through in order to get there. Yeah. Because for me, I needed to know what you had to go through in order to get there, so I can relay that in the easiest way possible to people, so people can really understand it. It's like, if you're going to do this, you have to
find a different coach.
Not necessarily find a different coach. You have to kind of like you're going to have to give up some stuff.
A lot
of stuff.
Like
right?
social life. I was riding my bike in my living room on Friday nights.
Yeah.
Like that was my life.
Yeah.
And because I didn't even want to be around food or people that were enjoying food.
Yeah. Or you never want to be that person when you go out to a dinner with a group of friends and you're pulling out a meal
broccoli,
prep,
right?
And everybody else is getting
I'll
off
stay
the
home.
menu. It's just like
for sure.
It's tough.
Yeah, but I think that was something I'd never really applied myself until that like 20s, and then I was like, man, because everything just either came so naturally or I was okay with like subpar results, right? But I wasn't ever like getting to where I wanted to be. And then, I saw like how cool it is when you actually apply yourself and you have some direction. And it's like, man, I did a prep in 8 weeks and I like ended up taking first in my show. And that was like, that was crazy,
Yeah, no, 100%. So like I actually shoot a lot of these competitors now. So like a year ago, I shot a journey of somebody that went through his first show and his first prep. It's inspiring. It is. It's inspiring when somebody has to go through that and do all that different type of stuff. But like you said, it's just not for me.
Yeah.
I can't put myself through that on a week to week basis and just try to do it for a trophy and a sponsorship or getting a pro card or something like that. But the more power to the people that do it. It is really tough to get a pro card these days.
Oh, is it?
It's becoming harder and harder. I've shot with some people just here in the OC that are crazy, ridiculous, ripped body wise, and there's just one girl that took her. She's been at it 13 years or something like that, and still has not yet gotten a pro card, and she looks
bless her
insane.
Bless her heart.
So yeah, you couldn't pay me to go through some stuff like that.
13 years.
It's a long time.
That's some dedication. Wow.
Yeah. But anyways, let's shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about mindset and business and entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. So for you being in business for, how long have you been in business for?
4 years.
So about 4 years. So throughout that 4 years, what have you learned about yourself throughout that process? Gosh. So I feel like this is always an interesting question.
It is, yeah. So I would say the past year has been absolutely transformative for me.
This past year?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first 3 years was kind of confusing because my business partner and I tried to have a romantic relationship. And it seemed like I already wrote the story, right? I was like, this is it. We're both sober. We're both going to be mom and dad of the recovery centers. Absolutely. And these are our little kids. And I wrote this fairy tale.
Sounded wonderful.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And he's 7 years younger than me, and we had this shared vision. And I really believe like when you partner with something like that, it's like a soul thing, it really is. But we were so far away from each other on a lot of other areas, mostly from just like values. And, I love to lift. I love to work out. Not his thing. We didn't share a lot of other common like hobbies. And so we struggled a lot. And when you have a business that's 24 hours a day, you can work 24 hours a day if you want. Yeah. And so what we did is we would just like kind of pour ourselves into this work. And then we had kids that, people that come to rehab, not all of them want to be sober. Some of them just want to get off the street. Mm-hmm. And so they'll relapse and overdose, not die, but like will use in your house. And like there's a lot of chaos that can happen when we're basically a hospital for addicts and alcoholics, right? Yeah. So, when we don't have that strong family foundation at home, and then we're coming into work and it's just like chaos. And we both decided that about like December of 2020 that it wasn't working. And it was really hard because I think we were both really scared what's going to happen with the business. Are we going to be able to work together? Mm-hmm. And we actually, our businesses are thriving. We've just bought out our business partners. Nice. And, so to get back to your question, my biggest fear, like the biggest rewards are on the other side of your fear.
For sure.
And I had no idea what I was doing. I surround myself with help. I rarely like to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
And, when I got started, like, that's one thing that was really cool about the recovery community is, and this is like why I'm inspired to start my own podcast, is that everybody was so helpful when we were starting. Like, oh my gosh, we'll help you. We'll get you this for licensing. Oh, you should talk to this person for your website. Like, everybody, I had been in business before. I had owned other businesses. I had no help, right? Mm-hmm. It was not like that. And I think when you're in recovery and you have an opportunity to make a difference and you see people trying to better their lives and you have been through it yourself, mm-hmm. like we have this commonality of like being brought together through our brokenness.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to like see that these people really truly wanted to help. I would say, that I knew in my gut that Alex and I weren't going to work, but I wanted to force it so much because it just made sense. Mm-hmm. And it put us both through a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort. And, he's happier with the relationship as it is. I'm literally like, I started posting on Instagram like 10 months ago and like posting my life and started traveling. I was like, I'm going to pick up new hobbies. I've started new business ventures since then. I really feel like I'm stepping into my purpose and into my flow. And it was like, I didn't want to let him go. I was so scared of like, what would happen? And, is the business going to go away? Because the business is so much my identity. And it's like, none of that matters. Yeah. If I lose it all tomorrow, I'll be able to build it up again because I know how to do it.
Yeah, it's just like all that fear that you just have to just like get over,
right?
Oh
my gosh.
You said something interesting in there, and you said that the whole thing with you requiring help and you not wanting to be the smartest person in the room mm-hmm. and all that. There's a lot of people out here that want to start a business or like are in the beginning stages of starting their business, and they feel like they have to do it all themselves. Mm-hmm. I was one of those people.
Yeah.
I just, because me coming from a place where I come from with the sports, training and all this, I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
So it's just like, man, I can do this thing on my own. I don't need help, right?
Yeah.
In the first 2 years, I tried that. Didn't get much traction.
Yeah.
And then now, just recently, I'm just starting to understand the idea of opening myself up to getting more help.
Yeah.
And I'm just branching out to different type of people and just getting some knowledge and gaining like just perspective from other people, allowing other people to do something for me and this, that, and the third. And it's mind blowing because it's just like, dang, I didn't realize
for sure
I can go so much further if we do it together. Mm-hmm. And you would think that I would already have that mindset coming from a sports background, teamwork and all this other stuff. But for me, it was just like, I wanted to, especially, like I said, coming from where I come from, very low income family, surrounded by a lot of gang activity and things like that. I wanted to show people that I grew up with and my family and things like that I made it on my own. Uh-huh. But if you look at any entrepreneur, any millionaire, nobody's ever got there by themselves, right? So I had the example on one of my last podcasts. It's like you take somebody like a LeBron James. LeBron James is an amazing athlete, amazing NBA player, but he wouldn't be able to do the things that he's doing if he had to also run his business, do all of his, outside stuff and still have enough energy to go out on the basketball floor and perform in front of thousands, millions of people.
Yeah.
That's, you have to have a team around you in order to kind of like alleviate some of that stress and that pressure and just kind of like have everybody work with themselves. So how big is that? And what type of advice would you give somebody to kind of like understand that concept?
Right. So I believe that, if you want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go with others.
Absolutely.
And what would I want someone to do, now that I'm up here, I like not up here by any means. I have a lot of growth, but my desire is to teach people, hey, all you have to do is ask for help. What is the worst thing that someone will say? No. Yeah. The best thing is that they could change the entire trajectory of your financial life if you ask for help and they say, because I would 100% help somebody. Like that is, I love helping people. I believe that I can't keep this unless I give it away.
Absolutely.
And, I totally get the whole, like, I want to do this by myself. The challenge with that, though, is like that means I have my own thinking. That means I have my own problem solving. people have already done this, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate. I have my amazing assistant here, Fan, who helps me with everything. I have people, I'm a big delegator of tasks. I am not good at certain things, you know?
Yeah.
So my job is like, I'm good at building relationships. I'm good at people. I'm good at creating a culture, but don't ask me to write a licensing, procedure and policy. Like that's not where my time is best spent.
Right.
So asking for help, I think, is the hugest thing. And it doesn't even have to be somebody in your industry, or if you're just struggling with, hey, like I know that I'm not doing what I love now. Another example that was given to me is if you're struggling with like what your passion is or what your purpose is, if someone were to give you a mic and you had 30 minutes to talk, what would you talk about? Right? And it's like, maybe follow that, maybe see where that goes. Because if you can talk about something for 30 minutes, you probably got something there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I also think another like huge, your environment is so key.
Absolutely.
The fact that they say that we are the average of the 5 people we hang out with. Well, a lot of people say, well, I don't know 5 millionaires. Okay, but maybe spend your time with authors who are millionaires. I'm constantly reading, right? I don't know, there was a time in my life where I didn't know more than 1 to 2 millionaires. And I was, thinking, well, how do I be around millionaires? Where do millionaires go? Millionaires play golf. So pick up a hobby, do something where you can be in an environment where those people are. If you know maybe not how you want to get there, but you know for sure that you want to be wealthy, that you want to be a philanthropist, go be around them. Ask them how they did it. Most people are happy to share.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of people is. It holds them back because they don't think that people are going to be willing to share that information.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know how to be in cahoots with millionaires and play golf and all this other stuff, so I'm just not going to go. I'm not going to ask. Right. I'm not going to show up. When Foster was on, he said something. He said, the only thing you have to do is just show up. You show up, you keep showing up, you're going to eventually start to pick up things and move in a certain type of way, just being around people.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to golf and you want to be around millionaires that golf, just go out there, pick up a golf. There's a story. So somebody told me about the whole golf thing, right? Okay. Like, if you become a golfer, you're going to start, putting yourself around a lot of people that are really successful and really wealthy. And you're going to start to put yourself in these conversations where you will benefit. So it's like, I don't know how to play golf. I don't know anything about golf. But one day I went to the local golf course. Went in, bought some balls to go hit on the golf course or the driving range. And I was out there swinging at the golf club like it was a baseball bat. Completely just embarrassing myself.
Sure.
So this one guy came to me, he was like, let me teach you how to do this, right? We had a conversation for like an hour and a half about golfing. Didn't talk about business, didn't talk about anything. But at the end of that conversation, he asked me what I did. I told him I was a trainer. He was like, oh yeah, I've actually been, needing some help with this, that, and the third. He became my client.
Wow.
Been a client for mine for about 3-4 years. He brought so many other different type of clients. Another person he's like an Asian guy from China. He came out here, built his business, whatever. So he actually got to a point where he wanted me to move out to China and open up a gym. No. Yeah. So this was just 2-3 years ago.
You'd be the tallest guy in the country over there.
So it's crazy, right? So he was like, we was talking about the whole thing. He was like, you ever been to China? Do you want to go? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I've never been, but I'm open to it. I'm young enough to go out there and just kind of make something happen if it happens. So he was like, all right, well, let's go out there and see if you even like it. So he flew me to China.
No.
For 5-6 days, which is not that long. 5-6 days, I'm with him the whole time. We're walking around China, Shanghai. I'm meeting all his friends, all these millionaire type people. I'm having dinner with owners of airplanes and billionaires and owners of diamond manufacturing companies and things like that. And I'm just like, this is not my life. Right. What am I doing here? Right. So it was crazy. So after the trip, we came back. He was like, yes, how'd you like it? I was like, China's amazing. What do you mean? Like, it was, I had the time of my life. I was like, yeah, but you didn't really get the full experience. I was like, what you talking about? It's not gonna be like that if I move out there. He was like, no. So he was like, well, you got to go back and just kind of like live a longer period of time without me. So I think it was around December. He came. We both flew out there together. We got there. He checked me into my Airbnb. He gave me a fistful of cash and was like, "All right, I'll be back in 2 weeks to pick you up." I was like, "What you mean you'll be back in 2 weeks?" He was like, "Yeah, I got to fly back to the States because I got some meetings." So he just dropped me off in China and left me there for 2.5 weeks. And yeah, it was two and a half weeks of some of the best times of my life. So,
Really?
I hopped on. So he gave me some money, and he also he hooked me up with somebody out there that I can call in case of an emergency or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was covered. But, I hopped on some of the social apps and dating apps and stuff like that and just started connecting with people.
Yeah.
People were so nice to me. They was like, "Oh, you should come out to the bar and come out to the club with us. I'll send you a car to come pick you up," all this other stuff. And it's just like, what? So I met people from Africa that invited me back to their apartment to watch NFL games, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then he came back, and the last couple of days we were there, we kind of went around and just kind of visited different gyms to see if this is something that we can do. And we almost did it, but then the pandemic hit.
No. So wait, would you go?
I would have been there right now if the pandemic.
But will you?
I don't know if I'll still do it to this day.
Yeah.
Just because, a little older now. I got the girlfriend now.
Yeah.
And,
she's not down to move to China.
If I told her we were moving to China, she'd be down.
Okay.
But I wouldn't necessarily
It's a big ask.
It's a big ask. I'm not trying to uproot somebody's life like that. She has an amazing career. What she does.
What does she do?
She's a speech therapist.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So she does speech therapy at a high school. So she's there Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Super cool. And, but yeah. Actually, so when the pandemic seemed like it was kind of lightening up a little bit, he's in China right now. He had contacted me. He was like, "Yeah, so we're still, the plan is still on. Just as soon as the borders open up, we're going to move you out here." And I'm just like, I brought it up to her and she was like, I was like, well, it's a conversation.
Right.
So she wasn't too happy about it. But I don't think now I would go just because I have so much going on now with the videography stuff, a lot of clients, the girlfriend, and just kind of settling into a life here in Irvine. So
I love that you were available for it, though.
Yeah.
Like just being open to it.
But again, like going back, that type of stuff doesn't happen unless I put myself out there and just go out there and just be present.
Right. And probably it was a little humiliating to beat the crap out of a golf ball on the driving range.
I mean,
oh, okay.
I mean, it was pretty bad. Like if you see me, you'd be like,
were you whiffing?
I was whiffing. I was picking up dirt. I was putting the big chunks into the ground. It was bad.
I mean, I could have a day like that, and I take lessons. So,
but now, like I've gone a few times and started getting a little better. So now I can hold my own. I don't go out there and just be a complete embarrassment. But it started off with being bad at something.
Yeah.
So you have to. When you first start something, you're going to be bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started the camera things, I didn't know how to turn the camera on.
Yeah.
Right. So when I first picked up a camera, I walked into Best Buy and I was like, all right, let's see if we can make something happen with this camera thing. Yeah. So I walked into Best Buy and I asked the guy, I was like, look, I just need a point and shoot camera. At the time, I was just buying the camera to kind of help me shoot and film some of my clients at the gym and then get to a point where I can put out content and just kind of help market myself and whatnot. And I started doing that, and people would be like, "Yo, your videos are dope. Who's doing them for you?" And I'm just like, "I'm doing everything."
Yeah.
And people started hiring me to do theirs for like $20, $50. I do a video for you. It's nothing basically.
Yeah.
And I walked into a Best Buy. I needed a bigger camera. I was using my iPhone to start. So I went and actually bought a camera. I bought a Sony, and the guy had to teach me how to turn the thing on. That's how clueless I was with camera gear. Now there until like 3.5, 4 years later, I'm running a full production company. I basically just hired on my girlfriend to kind of run all my admin stuff and things like that. So it's been crazy. But again,
how long have you been doing that?
I've been in the camera space now for about 3.5 years. Yeah, super new. I still don't know a ton of things.
Yeah.
But
and who did you learn from?
People on YouTube.
That's how you got to do it.
There was this one time where I was like, I remember the day that I decided to take it seriously. So it's like, all right, I need to learn how to do this because I was already starting to get to a point where I didn't want to keep training. I was already phasing out of the fitness industry. And I was like, all right, this is going to be the next thing. And if this is the next thing, I got to get serious with it and I got to put some time into it. So that day I deleted all my social media apps off my phone. I didn't like disable my accounts. I
Sure.
just deleted the apps
Yeah.
so I wouldn't get, sidetracked on them. Deleted everything, and I sat in front of the computer and watched hundreds. I think I watched over 250 YouTube videos in the course of 2 weeks.
Wow.
Learning how to use a camera, learning how to use the editing
Good for
software and things like that. And by the end of it, I was just like,
Run it.
I know a little bit more than I knew 2 weeks ago. So now I can point and shoot. I can turn it on with confidence and things like that. So I started to put myself out there a little more. And then once I started to put myself out there more, I got scareder.
Right.
I got even more scared.
Scareder's a word.
Whatever. we making shit up here. Whatever. But yeah, I got even more scared to a point where it's like I don't want to put videos out because I think people aren't gonna like them.
Yeah.
People are gonna be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" type of thing. And that's the whole imposter syndrome came. So it took me. I probably would have been further along if I had not been so scared to kind of put out content.
Yeah.
And then once I started really putting out content, people are so receptive to it. And it's just like, dude, these are amazing. Right. And I'm just like, are they though?
Yeah.
Are they? But
And now you think they're amazing because you got some feedback.
Well, now I look back on the videos that I actually thought were people were telling me they're amazing, and I look back on them like, oh, these are trash.
Yeah.
What was y'all talking about? These are horrible. But that just goes along with growth and you looking back and you've come such a long way type of thing. So that's just one of the things I always like to tell people. It's just like you're going to be bad when you first start.
Yeah.
Just keep at it, keep doing it. This guy named Zim in my last podcast says something. If you start something and you put all your marbles in, and you put, everything you have into that one thing and it fails, that doesn't necessarily mean that you wasn't meant to do it. Just go back, start from the beginning, do it again, and figure out a different way to go about it. Mm-hmm. So if you have that type of mentality and you have that type of will in order to make something happen, you have to be successful.
100%.
There's no way that you're not going to be. You know what I mean? So
I had a similar experience with social media recently. I started working with a business coach, and she's pushing me to be like more vulnerable about my posts, because I can get professional pictures taken and throw up some BS quote and then be like, oh my gosh, I'm so inspiring, right?
Right.
And so then one of my friends too, who's also an entrepreneur, she's like, nobody really knows you though. And so I posted this reel about it was a transformation of a bunch of pictures from what it was like, and I had to go back to get those, and then and I hadn't seen them in a really long time, and then to what it's like today. And I almost threw up when I pressed post, because I was like, what if people don't like this? What if they're seeing me as not this perfect person, which is such bullshit. Nobody honestly cares. But the cool thing is it was something that I'm genuinely proud of, because I had a bunch of people reach out. I had no idea, I think this might be something I'm struggling with. Would you be open to talking to me? Or awesome. I have a daughter, who has been drinking far too much and needs a female mentor. Would you be willing to talk to her? I'm awesome. Yes. Yeah. Even if I just posted it for those two people, right? That's it. Right. And so I'm posting all this, and I'm trying to be more intentional as I'm, this business coach has got me thinking are these daily activities pushing me towards my goal of wanting to help 1 billion people and wanting to make $1 billion, right? Mm-hmm. And so that means I delegate a lot of stuff. I don't clean my house anymore, right? That doesn't push me towards my goal.
Right.
And if you believe, which if you believe you're worth $1 million a year, that means that your time is $500 an hour. Right? And how much of the things do we do a day that we are not getting $500 worth, that you can delegate to somebody for 20, Absolutely. So that you can go spend your time doing what you're best at, actually producing and creating revenue and planting those seeds for your future.
That goes back to the whole team building mentality,
100%.
Right? You have to, and when I say build a team, it's not necessarily building a team around exactly what you do.
Right.
Like you said, if you just hire somebody to do your cleaning for you so you don't have to do that, now you can spend more time on your business. That cleaning lady or the cleaning guy is now a part of your team.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it kind of just goes hand in hand. It's just people need to understand building a team isn't necessarily something where you're just going if I bring more people on, I'm going to make less money.
Yeah.
Well, no, because if you bring people on, exactly.
Yeah.
If you bring people along, now you can help other people make money, and then you can make more money as a unit because now you can focus on what you're actually good at, and not all the other stuff that's going to keep you from building and expanding your brand and building your business type of thing.
Yeah.
So
100%.
100%. Yeah, exactly. So we want to wrap this up.
Cool.
We every time I wrap these up, I always like to give the floor to my guests. So look into your camera. If you have any advice, any nuggets, anything that you want to just tell people on entrepreneurship, mindset, or anything like that, just take away.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
I would have saved the ripping up story for now if I knew that this was happening.
Well, say it again. Why not?
I'm not going to say it again. So I think the biggest thing is I had so many limitations around what I really believed I could do. And one thing that has been totally transformative for me is the power of meditation. A lot of people are scared about meditation. You know, I don't want to sit by myself. I don't want my thoughts. You know, I don't know how to. First of all, YouTube is your friend.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we have roughly 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. Our thoughts, and I see that you have this up here, right? Our thoughts become our actions become our habits become our character, destiny, and what we think we become. So if we aren't changing our thoughts, how on earth are we planning on changing our destiny? And the only place that I've ever been able to change my thoughts is through meditation, because some of those thoughts I'm not even aware of. So there is a guy named Joe Dispenza. He's a meditation guru, and he really has some 30-day challenges of how you can change your thoughts, because if you continue to go back to the past and rather than identify with your future, you're only going to be getting the results that you got in the past. And how do you change your thoughts? Well, you have to sit with them. You start envisioning the future. You start visualizing what you want. I have pictures of jets picked out, of my ideal man picked out. I have pictures of me speaking in front of, you know, 1 million people. Like, those are the things that I believe are possible. And now that I've put them out in the universe, now that I visualize them, I'm so stoked. I wake up every single day because I know where I'm going.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's amazing. That's a big thing is knowing, like I said, we said it at the beginning, man, you have to become successful in your mind first before you can be successful in reality. And I hope that didn't go over people's heads, because it's really a big thing, man. You have to move like you're 10 years from now. You have to move like that in order to become that. So people used to say it in sports all the time: become a champion before you can actually become a champion in your mind before you become a champion in real life. Right. So
it's huge.
There you have it. This has been an amazing episode. Thank you, Kat, for coming through. This has been super awesome. Hopefully it's not the last time you come through.
No.
Hopefully we can have you on again and share some more knowledge and share some more stories, because that was amazing. So just real quick, look into your camera, tell people where they can find you, where they can follow you.
Hey guys, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok, SoCalKattt, SoCalKattt.
Awesome. And this is somebody, again, I bring people on here all the time where you guys can actually reach out to. This is somebody that's no different. And she's as busy as she can be, but she does have time to answer her DMs, reach out to people. She loves talking to people. She loves helping people. So please take advantage. Hit her up. Just say hi. I don't know. Ask her for some advice, and just we're trying to connect people. We're trying to connect the world, and we're trying to make some people happy and give people advice on how to navigate this space. So hit us up. Make sure you guys hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you guys want us to cover next. And till next time.
Till next time.
See you guys.
Out. What do you say?
Peace.
Okay.